Hi, a happy hoarder here, and I am participating in the Heidi Sonboul DIY challenge for fall. Now, I saw a lot of people making some really cool signs that said gather, but I didn't have the letters for gather. And since I have been celebrating No Shopping September month, I couldn't go out and buy any. So fall's just going to have to do. Now, that was a fun little thing to make, but it has a funny story and a video all its own, so you'll have to check on that. But what I have been working on is my Dark Academia backdrop for my live streams. So please keep watching, you may get some fun ideas. And when you're through with my video, please check that playlist and watch the videos of the other participants. My first DIY is the snake. And this is cute little snake in a jar, perfect for my Dark Academia backdrop. Now what I did is pretty simple. I stuck a rubber snake in a jar. Now the jar is the funny thing. I was washing dishes and I looked up and there was this candle jar that needed the wax cleaned out of, and I got a great idea. So the snake's not in great shape. It's kind of got a flat belly to it, and it's just a cheap rubber snake. So in order to kind of disguise it, I put the dark water inside with food coloring. I used a combination of yellow and red and green. The red and green make a brown, and the yellow just brightened it up. And then I just added the water until I got it the color I wanted. I actually went back and made it a little bit darker because I wanted to hide more of the snake. I painted my lid with a gloss paint, and then I did a lot of distressing around it, and I covered it with some rope and just did some fun stuff like that. One of my favorite things was looking up the snake term for that particular snake, which I can't remember the name of it, but it's a black and white snake, and I wrote that down in Latin to put on the tag. So this was an easy project, something fun to do with your kids. Find any jar, put any kind of rubber thing in it, but definitely mix your water because that's what makes it look very vintagey and something that would have been in a really, really old scientific lab. As you can see, I put a lot into that with some extra, adding some pastels and things like that to get a good color. And tying up that little rope. I do all my little jars differently, and more distressing, lots of distressing, and I also distress the glass as well because I definitely wanted it to look like there was dust on it. And the color I'm using now is light pastels, like white and gray, in order to give it this dusty look. So you see I'm still kind of rubbing it, giving it some fingerprints. I'm actually trying to make it like somebody's been handling it, and the grease and all from their fingers stayed on there. You'll get a better idea from the final picture how it turned out. And I love it. It's just perfect for my Dark Academia style.
Do you know what that is?
It's a snake.
But what snake?
It's just black on white.
Where's that
Pink
snake? No, but where's that snake from?
That's from the toys that we had.
Yeah. See? Isn't that cute? That's adorable. Isn't that awesome? That's the Latin term.
Interesting.
I know. He's flat, so it's kind of hard to work with.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to get the right curves.
I know. I had to soften him up with hot water. And then, and like get him in there. But yeah, it's No Shop September. Oh no, I did that with.
Yeah, the graininess makes it appear without knowing that it is a.
Okay, there's a style called Dark Academia, and then it's kind of like, you know, I did fairies and the skull that just kind of looks like something that's been around forever. Mm-hmm. So that was that was something I did kind of for that look. Isn't that fun?
Yeah, it works.
Yeah, it does. Anyway, thanks for participating.
I don't always have special guests in my videos, but isn't it great when I do?
Alright, so one of my projects today is to refurbish this plastic skull that I have. I bought it at Rolling Hills for like $1, and because some of its teeth were knocked out. So what I'm going to do, I looked around to see what I had, I thought would work. I'm going to try this clay. The clay doesn't work. I also have epoxy that I can use for teeth, but right now I just thought I'd give this clay a try. If nothing else, I get some practice sculpting. This clay I've had for a long time. It dries out, but I always keep it wrapped up really well. Add water and it comes back. It's amazing. But that is kind of a concern because of its durability. So I kind of went back into a tooth that it already had, and oh, how many teeth you got, dude? Let's figure out what's missing. I think that's his canine right there. Would that be his canine right there or there? Let's see which tooth I buried.
If you ever really want to challenge yourself as an artist, try doing dental work. So this was a lot of fun. Had a lot of memories of carving and doing pottery and stuff when I was in college. So this was a fun little project. Yeah, I know. You would like to have seen the before picture. But no, I never think. I didn't have a camera. I came out to do something completely different. I came out to get some stuff for Dark Academia.
looking, you know, whatever I have out here. Because I knew I had a couple of things I thought would look good with my display.
I love taking my skulls to school so that my students can use them to draw from.
I always love it when my students draw the teeth. They never get that right. Never. And it's so funny. But I just kind of love it. I love how the skeletons turn out because they're so ugly, they're cute. And I love that if I was teaching all year, definitely did that for October. That was definitely my October thing.
When I'm teaching art, I teach skull first before we do portraits, and I teach skeleton second before we do figure drawing. So it's just really helpful that they learn that it all comes from a structure, like telling them the house analogy, like these are your 2x4s, things like that. So anyway, yeah, I got a little bit obsessed with the teeth, just want them to look right, because really, when else am I going to get a chance to do dental work? I'm not going to kid you about this fast forward now. This took me hours to do. I can't do anything slow, but everything I did was a learning experience. So now I'm just checking that bite to see if it works. That little jaw is kind of hard to put back in. It has like 2 little places that it snaps in. I could not get it back in there. But now you have a better idea what it looked like before. So I forgot I had taken this little shot. Anyway, yeah, that jaw didn't want to go back in. One of the things about this guy, that jaw will fall off. That's why his teeth got broken. But there he is. Isn't he cute? Just adorable. And after that, I had to do a little bit more work. I know. They were kind of hitting. You know, and if you've ever been to the dentist, they make you bite down. Yeah, I had to make sure that bite was perfect. But that's how you do it. And you see I'm using a lot of tools. These are my carving tools, most of which came from college. In fact, one of the tools I'm using, it is a very expensive tool for when you're working on your metal plate for printing. Don't even get me started. I save everything. After he dried, I painted him antique white. I just like that more bonier color than a white. And then I distressed him with some antiquing gel, but I didn't really like the brown that I had chosen, so I had a lot of black to it to get a little bit more of a bronzy, brownish red color. So I really liked more black. Black was too much. Brown and black made a really good combination. And then I found the teeth to my other skull. I've had this skull for over 15 years, I know. And one of my students in my home studio where I taught knocked the teeth out accidentally, and that was that many years ago, and I found them. And he's so much happier now. Just look at that big smile. But I had more skulls. So I had this chrome paint that was spitting everywhere. It was just so nasty, and I almost threw it away. But then I got this really great idea. First, I spray painted my skull gold, and then I hit it with that chrome, and it just kind of dripped down everywhere. It was awesome. I also did the smaller skull, but it will be in another video coming up soon. Anyway, I think it turned out really cool, and I added the charcoal in the lines and in the eyes to give it a little bit more depth. So there's another great skull to my collection. I'm warning you right now, do not make this spell book. I chose this particular book because it has a deckled edge. And if you're familiar with the deckled edge, that means it's got the end of the run and the paper is really rough on the ends. But it is a special book, and the covering I'll make will actually protect it. So I started out making a cover just out of brown wrapping paper. And then I added this very special paper, which I'm going to have to tell you more about.
I tell you, I'm working on my kitchen floor. Anyway, I love this edge, and I hate that I'm going to have to cover it up, but I am, because it's just not working the way I thought it would, because that's what happens. This stuff is like wax paper, so it will not hold adhesive. So what I've done here, sorry about our shutter, I'm on my kitchen floor with no lighting. So I have stuck double stick tape down first. Yeah, I have nothing new, by the way. What's happened to my tape? And then I'm using just regular cellophane. It is just kind of sandwiched in here for now, but the next layer I put on hopefully will help to hold it.
And that did help hold it a lot better. So that gave me the double layer of stickiness. Now this is a paper that I made for my fall sign from the beginning, but that's in another video.
So what I'm doing here is I took this paper that I made, and sorry, I'm on the side. And I slid it in here. I had to cut some excess off because I had to get like an edge to start from. Because I did it at an angle. I don't mind. I wanted this to kind of end. I'm going to kind of rip this up because I'm trying to make this side look like really warm from being open so much, you know. And I'll probably do some more stuff over here. But this is that first page. I got some plans for what, you know, how I'm going to attach it. Now it's not going to be easy because I don't want to glue anything to my original book, but I've got some ideas. So we'll see if that works. Anyway, so what I did is I stuck it in, I kind of lined it up here, even though that's not a straight edge either, but we won't talk about that. And then I closed the book, Yeah, I did. I really did. Folded it here in the seam. Closed the book. Come on, book, close. Oh, excuse my brick floor. And then I traced it. See? Oh, no, wait, wrong side. Traced it on the other side. So I traced it on the book side because you want the size of the paper. I'm going to get this right in a minute. So this is the size you want it. I'm going to cut that out, but you can see I'm going to have like a corner that's missing. And that's going to look really cool. So what I did is I took just some black elastic and I've stuck it in here. And it's not good. It'll be more secure once everything's glued together. But right now it's just going to be there. And then, and then here. You can see it on this side. And I'll do one on the other side. I'm actually going to retie this. I don't think it's tight enough. How about those nails? Life of an artist. So I brought out this. This is a product by Duck. It is for weather stripping. And it's a little bit heavier duty than just the stuff, no offense to, Scotch here. But it's a little bit better. It says permanent. Okay, that's not working. Permanent, seriously. Anyway, so this is a little bit more permanent, but this is a little bit heavier duty. I did test it. It's not really sticking permanently, but it is sticking some, and at least to keep it together for a little while. But I have some ideas on what, I think if I just clamp it or something, it may bond. So I'm just gonna see what happens. What I did is I put a couple of pieces here, keep our fingers crossed, and put some here. I'm gonna come back and put some on this as well, but trying to double it up. And then you'll come back in and peel off this. So I have two pieces here. This is kind of overlapping to kind of hopefully hold that on a little bit better, but I'm trying to avoid the original book. We'll see how this works. So far, so good. It's holding, and I think temporarily, I really think once it's set up, once it's had a chance to bond, let's keep our fingers crossed. Yeah, so when I did it, I'm junk on my floor now. When I did it, that's styrofoam from something other project I did. I folded it down. I didn't put this up. I folded that down. Does that make sense? It's what I did. All right, other side. So I did the same thing where I found my edge. What I did on this one, actually, I folded it over and I tore it just to be different. And then I liked it better. So yeah, and then I folded it into the seam where I found my nice place there. And I'm now going to trace it and cut it out. If you decide to do this part first, where cut your paper and do the elastic first, because having to go back and kind of undo this to get the book out was not easy. And even though, you can take it all apart later in one big piece, this part was tricky. So make sure you put this in first, just to save you that grief. All right, here's a boo-boo, because we always like to point out our boo-boos. Don't pull off your backing until you know it's secure. So really rub it in. Oops, and then that happens. So you see how this one's pulling up already? So go ahead and hit this really hard before you pull off your stripping. Yeah, and this is, or you will have that coming up for sure. In case, I think I forgot to mention this, I did put tape up here as well. And that's why I have that little void right here. So I just stuck it to this. So now, what do I do with this nasty, sticky stuff? Oh, I'm going to use it. I'm going to use it for labels. And like I said, this is like masking tape, so you're not going to get a good adhesion, so you're going to have to find something you can write with on that. So I don't think I'll be able to glue anything to it. But I want to hang on to it for that reason, because I think it's going to be fun. So I have a sheet of parchment paper, and this is actually what I was going to put on my book originally. And do something with this, so just to have like a white book and all, but I scrapped that idea. But yeah, because I love this so much more. And I'm going to recycle this and stick this on there until I get a chance to work with this. So just some ideas. Oh, wax paper would work just as well. Like this. I know I'm loving this edge. What could I do with this? It got nasty. It's so nasty. It's in my storage room. It's pretty disgusting. I had a plan for my outer binding, but I don't think it's going to stick. I'm just going to have too many problems with it. So I'm going back to the basics. I'm using the skin. Now, this is the sticky side, and I put some double stick tape here. I'm going to put some here. I've measured it out, like folded that over, measured it out, make sure it's the right length. So keep watching to see how this worked out. So what I did next, I'm sticking it on this, and this is actually holding pretty well. Like I said, I wouldn't count on this to last the rest of my life, but it's going to hold up for now. And I'm going to do some distressing on it and stuff like that. But I measured out where I want my like stripes to be. So I measured those out, and I didn't charcoal, by the way. And then I did the I drew them, so I meant to mark there. Hang on, oh, there's more else. So what I did when I was marking, make sure you do this, because I had to put like a squiggle to show me which one was the middle. So I made about 4 different tick marks, and I drew that around there. So that's this stage. And I'm also, while I'm here, I'm going to kind of measure out my words, so I will have an idea of how I want to letter it. Oh, and this is marker, permanent marker, which is actually holding up pretty well. And that's charcoal on there, so it's not just smearing. That's what it does. After I did that, I wasn't liking it at all. You kind of see where I drew it in. Wasn't working for me. So I went back and I put double stick tape down, and I secured little pieces of just some rope that I found out in my barn. I don't know how far these go around the edge. I would think they just stitched through, and that ended about right there. That's just a guess, but we'll see. Obviously, this doesn't stick to the stuff, so I put in more double stick tape. This project's turning out to be a lot more complicated than as most of my projects are. All right, so I'm actually sitting on my stove now. Just don't get me started. I didn't mention I should overlap my tape now just to kind of help smooth out that edge. So then I decided to put 3 layers of tape because I kind of like it as strapping, and I thought it needed brads. I have no brads, but I have these crazy things, and I'm sticking to what I know, and I am putting double stick tape on them to stick them on there with, and I'm gonna have to Mod Podge this for sure. Are you ready for story time? So we have a fundraiser here in town called Art on the 45, and local artists will submit some work that they've done on the 45. I had done this one, but it cracked. Air dry clay was horrible. And I want to talk about how horrible this stuff is. I'm so mad. I had bought a bunch of Google Eyes at Rolling Hills, and there's one big one, just one. So there it is in there. So I got a plan for this.
I cut it down to fit the book using a utility knife. You have to score it a few times and then you can crack it off. I probably could have cut all the way through it, but I'm not very strong. I used E6000 and some double stick tape because I did not trust the hot glue gun on this one. But I did use the hot glue gun on the rope in order to secure it to the paper. And then I just avoided the record. But after that, I coated everything a couple of times with Liquitex that would make the paint stick.
Alright, so I'm at the point I'm going to let this dry. I hate that I have bubbles, but I also have some debris that I picked up. But I wanted this to be more texturized and this to be kind of like a pool. So this is like glue and water moat going on here around this. And then this is like, more textured. So I'm letting it dry now, see what happens. And I have hit this with some just glue and water to just give me something to paint on later. I wish I didn't put such thick glue on this though. But that's the way it is.
Now this is where it gets crazy. I did all this and then I was looking at it going, I don't like the way those stones are just sitting there. They need to look like they're more embedded in something. And then I didn't like how bright and shiny it was. And then I decided to dull it down. Remember that point at the beginning when I said, don't make this thing? Yeah, I got totally obsessed with this thing. But I'm very glad I put in the extra effort because I think it makes a pretty good addition to my Dark Academia bookshelf or my kind of witchy lair. Thank you for watching, and please watch the other videos on the playlist, and hey, hit like and subscribe if you haven't, and leave some comments because we all love to hear from you. And don't forget to hit that notification button because sometimes I make pretty good videos. Bye!